0864. Stations your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound. Tap it in. 1 point more to go.
The opportunity to play and put Oregon on your chest should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field. Back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
Let's talk Oregon athletics. It's going to be a great show today. Packed. Jordan Brenner in for the foreseeable future. Joey Mack is a father. Sorry, you're going to have to get used to this face for radio. I'm going to be here for a little bit. Great show today. Rob Mosley, the editor of GoDucks.com, going to be joining us in about 10 minutes, fresh off of a full padded practice, the first practice that was in full pads since that Saturday scrimmage. Coach Dan Lanning said it was among the best practices of the year. Rob Mosley's takeaways from that practice, the entirety of fall camp, that should be fun. Some news to hit, though, at the top. Get ready tonight. The Liberty and the Chicago Sky play in the first round of the WNBA playoffs, 5 o'clock on ESPN2. Sabrina Ionescu postseason, that is must-see TV. That might actually be tomorrow. I'm going to double-check that, and we're going to get back. But either way, we're going to have to keep close tabs on that one. I'll get you a double-check on that exact day and time for that matchup. And then news today announced Oregon softball will be going back down to Mexico for the Puerto Vallarta College Challenge. Going to be a stacked field again. BYU, Cal Baptist, Maryland, North Carolina, North Dakota State, Oklahoma State, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Wisconsin. The game schedule, the start times, that's going to be announced later this fall. But February 9th through 12th, if you want to start planning your trip down south to go see Oregon softball. That's always a tremendous tournament, a beautiful area, a great experience for those student athletes. Absolutely. The Ducks last played in Puerto Vallarta in 2020. They went 5-0 in the tournament. So let's hope we get a little bit of a repeat performance out of Oregon softball, a team coming off of a very successful 33-19 season. And, let's get to Coach Lanning now because Rob Mosley's joining us in about 10 minutes. I want to get to the head coach early on following what he called one of the best practices of the season.
Really good energy. Guys really pushed. Great strain, looking for second effort, and I think everybody's trying to find that 1% today, so I thought it really showed up, but we'll open up for questions.
What do you feel like brought that out to be the best practice?
You know, I think just in general, our guys are starting to take ownership of what practice looks like is really relative to their performance and their energy that they bring, right? And I don't know, I think guys just came out here with the right mindset saying, you know what, I want to get better today. I'm not looking for this just to be another day, and they did a good job of that.
You had some time to watch the film from Saturday. What are some of the big things that stuck out?
You know, just really fundamentally, there's plenty still for us to clean up. There's not a lot that really shows the sequence of a game in practice, and you know, scrimmage is your best way to replicate that. So the substitution patterns, the matching personnel, the moving the ball, big plays down the field, we have to try to create that more in practice, and that showed up in the scrimmage and as stuff that we can improve.
Between looking back at the scrimmage in these past couple of days, now you're 10 days in, what is your assessment of the quarterback situation?
Yeah, again, probably the same you're going to hear from me every time. I feel like we have guys that can win. I thought they made really good decisions today. Had a couple scenarios at the end. We worked 4-minute and 2-minute today. You know, where, you know, kind of get the ball back situations. And it was pleasantly surprising to me that quarterbacks are turning around asking me questions. Hey, Coach, do we want to take a timeout here? Do we want to not score here in this situation? You know, and I think that's smart football play.
What do you hope to see over the next 4 or 5 practices, second scrimmage from them in particular to help you
continue to have measured growth, taking what's there, not trying to force something that's not there, making great decisions. We distribute the ball to our playmakers and just know the offensive, what we're operating, our principles, and how we can execute.
After watching the film from the scrimmage, are there some things that you actually saw from Saturday today that the players kind of improved on, little notes from there?
Yeah, just fundamentally, like we walk away and we did on really Monday, similar to what we would do on a day after a game. We did a corrections walk, right? And we intentionally did corrections that we screwed up in the scrimmage, right? And then in practice today and practice yesterday, we're trying to recreate those moments that happened in the scrimmage that we screwed up. So if we had a wrong adjustment versus a certain look, or we didn't get a cadence right on offense or a motion right, trying to re-script that so it happens again to see if we got it corrected. And I thought, that showed up from our guys.
Where have you seen from the receiver room? Obviously a lot of opportunity there, a lot of bodies that played a little bit last year. We've seen growth this fall.
Yeah, I really have. I think that group showed and displayed another level of toughness that I haven't seen from them before. I think they knew that was a place that we needed measured growth, and they've shown that. I think they also are realizing, hey, you can have a good play, you can have a bad play. The play that matters the most is the next play. And I think you're seeing that more and more from their mentality. We don't want the last play to affect the next one.
I haven't asked you a lot about Mace Funa just yet, Dan.
Yeah.
What do you see as his role? Is he kind of the true Sam backer for you guys? What does that role look like in modern college football?
Yeah, Mace has some position versatility. I certainly think he can play Sam for us, but I think he can play rush end, that jack position as well in nickel situations. He's proven to be a really good edge setter, and I think he's a guy that is a great picture of knows his plan, has a rush plan, and is able to execute it, right? It's not about having 15 moves. It's about having one move that you can execute at a high level and then having a counter off of that. And Mace just comes out there and works every day. That's what you see. It's consistency for Mace, which is appreciated.
Trevin was a guy who, I realize a lot of his weight gains happened before you guys got here, but even looking back at film of him to now, what can you speak to in terms of a guy who's put on, over the course of 3.5 years, 55 pounds?
Yeah, I joke around with Trev a lot. To me, he's a 55-year-old in a 20-year-old body. I don't know how old he is, 21, but he's super mature, and I've seen great growth from him. He's a guy that's really performing at a high level. Would love to see a little bit more production, but he executes his assignment consistently and tries to use the right technique.
I know Steve Stevens was really working hard to come back from that injury during spring ball. What have you sort of seen from him, and where does he fit into that really versatile group of DBs?
One thing I'll say about Steve is he's very smart, right? And that sticks out to me, that you have to be able to make some of the checks. You're the quarterback in the back. And Steve's done a really good job of that. I don't think he's ever came out here and worried about where he was at, what position he was working at. All he does is work. And that's shown up consistently, but he's helping other guys get lined up, which is hard to do for a guy that really didn't get to play in the spring. So he's done a good job of that.
Tony Tuialiko, the Dorless, the alpha of this defense.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him to kind of take on that leadership role of setting the tone, being the alpha of the defense?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good example today. I pulled Dorless aside and I said, hey, we've been following your GPS. I want to see you hit some top speeds, right? So we just pulled him out of a period and said, I want to see if we can hit some top speeds in this period. And he just took his butt over the sideline and said, okay, watch it right here. I'm going to hit it. And he sprinted, and he just said, I'm going to strain because coach feels like this is important for us to get better. And that's what Brandon has consistently done. Those guys follow him. He ran to the ball. He's pushing himself to get better. I think that shows up consistently.
What's his top speed?
I'll have to check. He's a near 20-mile-an-hour guy.
With Terrell, I know you were talking about his speed. You didn't know a whole lot about his fit at tight end. Have you seen him grow into a role potentially for you guys there?
Yeah, I think obviously he can run. I definitely think he's going to have some special teams value for us, and I think as he continues to develop at tight end, it's still a new position for him. As he continues to develop, he's got the potential to help us there.
So you showed off a little bit of the tennis skills the other day.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Did you guys see the one I whiffed? Oh, that didn't make the cut. I appreciate that. There was one where I completely whiffed on the ball. I played tennis in high school. I wasn't good at it, but they traveled to a lot of away games, so you get out of school, right? So, that's a reason. And I didn't have a set of golf clubs, so it was like, going to do something.
You break out some of your other high school era skills?
No, nothing. I mean, we've had a few competitions here through we're doing a Duck Olympics, and we've had free throw shooting contests. We did our home run derby with the tennis balls.
No freestyle rapping?
No freestyle rapping, no.
Just checking.
Who's the most well-rounded in the Duck Olympics? Who's your guys' Ashton Eaton?
Oh, this kind of falls back to me. I know I've talked about him before, but Jay Butterfield, he's good at cornhole. He's good at duck and like slow pitch softball. He bowled the other day, I want to say 234. Now, like, you knew it was serious for Jay the minute we were getting on the bus and you realized he has his own bowling ball, right? He's like the Big Lebowski, right? So, no, it's he's definitely a ringer when it comes to the Duck Olympics.
You've referenced the energy bus, and plenty of coaches have obviously read that. How much do you ascribe to Gordon and his work and all his stuff? Like, I mean, you've referenced a lot of it.
Yeah.
I mean, and what does that date back to?
Ultimately for me, like I said, I grew up, both my parents were teachers. I'm always looking to become better. I feel like you become stagnant as a coach and you aren't looking to learn, then you're missing out, right? And there's an opportunity for improve. And whether that be Gordon or, whatever that might be, Blank, there's a lot of books that I think you can get a lot out of. Shoe Dog, right? That you can grab something from and carry it over, and hopefully it translates to our players. So if it's a Malcolm Gladwell book or a Gordon book, I'm going to try to lean in on it.
When we talk about as a first-year coach, Dan, and those kinds of things, but also this and using this platform, how much of this so far, these first couple of weeks, has been for the bully pulpit that Nick and Kirby and others used to convey to your team, and how much of this has been less performative for those?
Yeah, I don't know that it's ever a stage for me. It's just the opportunity to share about our team, and appreciate you guys doing coverage for our team. Certainly there's opportunities for messaging, and I'm not sharing a message here that would be different that I would share with our guys, but yeah.
Going back to those off-the-field competitions, how have you seen team chemistry improve, like through those Duck Olympics, as you said?
Yeah, it's fun because each one of our coaches got the opportunity to draft teams, but none of them could draft their own position, right? So you're talking about the O-line coaches having to draft DBs, right, and wide receivers. So we have a great compilation of guys, and it allows you to get really closer in those moments.
Earlier in camp, you guys talked about tweaking some techniques on the defensive end. Where have you seen the biggest growth in that defensive side of the ball?
Say that one more time.
Earlier, you guys talked about tweaking techniques on the defensive side, but where have you seen the biggest growth in the defensive unit?
That's a good question. I feel like our pass rush has really developed. I think I've seen that grow over time. Guys are really having a plan. I think there's a lot of pieces, though. Like we struggled in man cover in the spring. I think that's really improved. I think our secondary's done a really good job in that. Talking about really more in the slot, and that's improved a lot. So iron sharpens iron, and we're really getting better across the board.
A lot more football coverage coming on today's show. We're going to try to get a Brandon Dorless later on in the show. You heard Dan Lanning refer to it, the pass rush getting better. Brandon Dorless pushing himself to hit that top speed at this point in camp. Man, he looks shredded right now and bound to have a big season. By the way, have that confirmation. My instincts were correct. Sky Liberty tonight, 5 o'clock, ESPN2. Tune in for that Hebert-Ionescu postseason matchup. All right, Rob Mosley after this break. A lot of Oregon football, but we'll also talk volleyball and soccer on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Now's the time to visit your local Toyota dealer and find yourself in a stylish and fuel-saving RAV4, Corolla, or Camry, or climb behind the wheel of the rugged Tundra, Tacoma, and more. Toyota's national sales event is on. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Now's the time to visit your local Toyota dealer and find yourself in a stylish and fuel-saving RAV4, Corolla, or Camry, or climb behind the wheel of the rugged Tundra, Tacoma, and more. Toyota's national sales event is on. Toyota, let's go places.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
This is an important message from the Mine Safety and Health Administration. Mining fatalities, accidents, and injuries are preventable. Taking a minute to approach your task safely can protect you and your fellow miners from injury and death. Staying alert and focused can keep you safe. Do it safe, do it right. Whether buckling a seatbelt or securing equipment, these quick safety measures can prevent injuries and fatalities. Take time, save lives. For more resources, visit MSHA.gov.
Farming is dangerous. There's dangers all around us.
We go through safety training and try and do these things to make sure accidents don't happen.
You don't want to hit a gas pipe because that's your life. The other part of it is if you hit certain things, you're liable for it.
Farm Safe 811 starts with you. Always call 811 and wait for any underground lines to be marked.
Always keep safety in the back of your mind. Just stay humble.
For more information, go to farmsafe811.org.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, back in the Country Financial Studios, as always, brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. Rob Mosley, editor of GoDucks.com, joining us here live on the show. Rob, right now with the solid-looking all-black Nike cap, at what point during the day do you make the transition to the bucket hat for practice?
Usually it's right before putting sunscreen on.
Okay, so before the bucket hat takes some of the sunscreen too, or do you have impeccable aim, you never get it on the hat?
No, yeah, because that way if I once I have the hat on, I probably don't need to get like the back of my neck. That's the point of wearing a bucket hat, of course.
Oh, you don't even need to get it.
It's not just for looks, although I know it's quite stylish.
Yes. Though I will say a couple of fans have been can't engage with these hateful comments on the internet, but I saw a couple of fans arguing that some members of the Oregon Athletic Department do not wear the bucket hat correctly. I have to disagree with those fans. Some of the fans were saying you go strap in the back instead of the front. What's your take on that?
Well, eventually once my bucket hats run their course in a professional setting, they become my river hats.
Okay.
So whether I'm tubing or rafting.
What's the shelf life of an average Oregon bucket
Depends
hat?
a lot on the color, because I one of my many attractive qualities, Jordan, is that I am a heavy sweater.
And credit to Scott going on the Zoom in there to showcase some of those attractive qualities, right?
Yeah. So depending on the color, it might wear out a lot quicker.
Right.
But then it becomes a river hat, and having had the strap around the neck save me from gusts of wind that would have otherwise taken it into who knows
those
where.
River gusts will get you
along the Rogue or the John Day or the Mackenzie or wherever. I am definitely team. What the heck is the point of the strap if you put it behind your neck?
I don't know. Maybe it's like a little hat ponytail. Maybe I'm on your side. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
You know, some people just like to watch the world burn. They are contrarians just for the sake of entertaining themselves.
Yeah, and you're not one of those people.
I can be, but I'm not by nature. Some people are by nature.
Right.
And I'm going to say the strap behind the neck people are that.
Yeah. We're talking to you folks out there.
Yes.
The strap belongs in front.
That's what it's to keep it from blowing away. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
now, I will acknowledge sometimes I'll see like a video of myself later and be like, wow, you had it cinched a little tight there, homie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure it needed to be quite that high and tight.
Yeah, and that's what makes you good, right? The ability to, and this is Dan Lanning too, right?
Oh, yeah, you got to self-evaluate.
Look in the mirror. How can I be better tomorrow?
Right. It's film review.
Yes.
Is what it is.
Rob Mosley watches film.
Yes. And then, maybe I take it 1% lower.
Yeah. So is that an adjustment you're going to make today?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you have
to. It's a key to the practice for you.
We'll see what the conditions call for. You know, adversity will present itself, and we'll see how I respond. You never know until you get punched in the face.
Right.
And a little gust of wind is like a punch in the face.
Well,
in the context of the hat strap conversation.
I'm glad we hit the top story today.
Yeah, I think this is my first appearance on the show of the year.
Is it?
And the first 3 minutes of it have been taken up by the bucket hat strap.
Yeah, well, that's what people want to hear.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we should also talk about Oregon football, right? Scrimmage on Saturday. What'd you see from Coach Lanning's squad?
Oh, man, that feels like a million years ago already. Holy cow. It was. I mean, obviously, it's always fun to get into Autzen Stadium and watch the guys play football. You know, he was very frank about how the offense started well and the defense finished strong, and that was no BS. Yeah, when there were, when it was like move the ball situations, and then there was a lot of field to work with. Offense was able to put together some plays. Chris Hudson had a really nice play early on. That's just a guy where it's the classic example of get a guy a ball in space and let him go to work, and he can really do a lot of damage. And there's a lot of guys on this team like that. Seven McGee, another one, and on and on. But then you start to get into some situational work. And there were some red zone periods where the offense did well as well. You kind of, if you're 15 yards away from the end zone or so, you'd like to think you can put it in there. But then some 2-minute situations where kind of the game, quote unquote, was on the line. Defense came up with a couple big plays. So I think that was good for them to see too, because there had been some situations. I mean, it's the back and forth, the yin and yang, as Coach Lanning referred to it. There had been some 2-minute situations the week previous where the defense couldn't get itself off the field. And whether you give up a third down or even a fourth down, or there's a penalty that extends a drive, and then the offense is able to score and win that situation. A scrimmage, is kind of a live fire drill, as close to a game as you're going to get. So for them to come through there was good. I mean, it just shows progress, and Coach Lanning talks about, he uses this metaphor of like you go to the doctor after a game and you get diagnosed and you get a recovery plan from whatever ailed you in the game, win or lose. But that happens every day too, So practices previous to the scrimmage where the defense had not won the 2-minute drill, you go to the doctor after those too.
No doubt.
And they fixed that for the scrimmage. So obviously that's an ongoing process, and performing consistently is a huge key now going forward, and particularly now I think this next week or so, you're really in kind of the dog days, So I think we heard from coaches early in camp that, hey, it's kind of easy to be excited right now. Everything's new, whether it was the first day of camp or the first day in pads or the first scrimmage. There was, it kind of easy to generate some excitement based on the circumstances. It gets a little tougher now this next week or so, probably, because, I know when you just look at a calendar, it feels like the first game's going to be here before you know it, and it's like we're within like 3 weeks now, right? But within the context of a camp, where you're going through these big, long days full of meetings and walkthroughs and practices, it can become a grind, and the repetition can get to you. And so you have to push through that and still create the same energy and find the same motivation and all that. And so for Dan Lanning yesterday, Tuesday, to say, hey, he thought that was maybe the best practice of camp so far, that's a pretty good sign. Now, that's something that can slip quickly and easily. So, that you got to do it again today, and you got to do it again tomorrow, and there's a scrimmage coming up and all that, on and on and on. But, these little signs that things are progressing well, and the team's getting good work in so far.
Yeah, I thought it was...
That was a filibuster. Man.
Hey, this is a talk show. You're in
welcome.
The right place. Dan Lanning did say yesterday was one of the best practices of the year, and in your football practice report, I like how you ran with that Danism about going to the doctor. It seemed like yesterday the Ducks went to the doctor and corrected some of those wrongs from that scrimmage on Saturday. That's what you like to see, getting better in those areas where you may not be ready for Georgia.
Yeah, I think we figure, at this point, it's still relatively early in camp. There's probably a lot, still being installed. At the risk of speaking out of turn, I mean, I feel like we're still probably early enough in camp that there's some things they're putting in. Probably things they reviewed in the spring, and now they're kind of reintroducing and things like that. But he said they may also make a point of scripting things from the scrimmage that didn't work out to see, okay, we talked about it in the meeting, we reviewed it on film, we talked about what we needed to do better. Let's actually present that situation again and see if the team can show improvement on the field. And he felt like he saw some of that, so another good sign there.
Zooming out on camp as a whole, you've been to Oregon football camp under a number of regimes. I'm wondering what has stood out to you about a Dan Lanning fall camp, how it relates to some of the other camps you've experienced in the past, and how it's different than some of those camps. Maybe that's even more revealing.
I think the most obvious thing is, Coach is on the microphone. I mean, he is – I think, the last time I know of a coach being, mic'd up as consistently, it was Tom Osborne back in the day, coaching special teams periods. He would always put a headset on for special teams periods and to kind of keep guys organized and, because there's a lot going on in special teams period. And I think particularly back then, it's not the case now, but I think particularly back then they felt like they probably were trying to get a lot done in a little bit of time. That there was only a certain amount of time in each practice devoted to special teams, so you really need to cram a lot in. That's not the case with Dan Lanning's team. I mean, they're doing elements of special teams throughout, including like early in practice in the kind of positional drills, even before positional drills, kind of in that gap between when they stretch and before they go into position drills, offense, defense. There's a bunch of kind of loosening up, doing some explosive movements, and that's done in the context often of some special team situations. So, but just to have the coach, holding a microphone and kind of talking almost throughout is much different, and it's just a window on his thinking constantly throughout is different, and it's fun and interesting, and so yeah, that's the most obvious.
Really like how Brandon Dorlus addressed the media yesterday, and it seems, especially entering this season on a national stage, Brandon Dorlus may be one of those forgotten players who actually could be a leader of the defense, and the coaching staff has even pointed that out, how vocal he's been, how he's led that entire group, that front seven and that defensive line. It seems to be that they have been one of the stories of camp so far.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's a kid who's really matured physically, but also just kind of grown up as a man too. And I think there's a lot of appreciation for that, respect for that. Noah Sewell kind of nationally is the face of the defense, but I think there's a sense internally that, hey, anybody who thinks that's like the only dude is vastly mistaken. And yeah, I think Brandon Dorlus is definitely a guy who can really be a difference maker on this defense. You're looking, when you lose a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau, when you lose a top 5 pick, obviously there's going to be a question, okay, what do the edges look like, and who's pressuring the quarterback and all that. And obviously this is going to be a different defense, so maybe there's different ways they create pressure, but I think just in the game of football right now, I mean, quarterback play is so important, and therefore the ability to influence a quarterback and kind of throw off his timing, hit him, all that is important. And so when you have a guy like Dorlus who's that talented and has that kind of a high ceiling, and now is developing as a leader too, as was talked about after practice yesterday, Coach Lanning pulling him out of team drill and having him run the gassers just to see if he could hit top speed while he's tired within the course of a practice. Dan Lanning talks one of the words you hear all the time is strain. He wants to see guys strain and kind of embrace straining, and I think that's what that was. That him having Dorlus illustrate to the rest of the team that, yeah, you're in the middle of camp, you're grinding through the dog days, you're in the middle of a practice, in the middle of 11-on situation, which is tough. Yet this guy can, in the middle of all that, go off to the side and run whatever 95% of what his max was.
Yeah.
I think is what Brandon said he ended up topping out at yesterday. So, yeah, a pretty good show of leadership there.
If we could shift gears briefly, I want to hit on volleyball and soccer real quick. Let's start with Coach Ulmer's squad coming in at 19 in the AVCA poll yesterday, a team that brings back their top 4 kill getters last year, and a defense that was special last year now adds a first-team All-Pac-12 setter.
Right.
Fair to have very high expectations for Oregon volleyball this year.
Oh yeah. I mean that's a program that kind of year in year out, you expect to be in the conversation to break through and win a conference title. They're almost always going to play themselves at least into that conversation, and I know they want to get it. I know they want to get one, but it says something to be performing with that kind of consistency too. That you're a team that's, if you're a top 3 or 4 preseason team in this conference, you're very much entrenched on the national scene. And yeah, there's just so much returning talent too. I mean, the coaching staff's got some tough decisions to make. I mean, I think what kind of rotations they use and what kind of lineups they field. I think we're really going to see the benefit, I think, of the culture of that program. I mean, Coach Ulmer is so awesome, and his staff is so awesome, and they have such a good kind of family feel on that program. I think we're going to see the benefits of that because there's going to have to be some tough decisions made. I mean, there's just not enough spots on the floor for everybody who probably deserves some playing time. So, but I have no doubt they'll be able to navigate that, and having a lot of talent sure is a good problem to have as opposed to the opposite. So yeah, it's just such an entertaining sport. It's such an entertaining program. When you have a Brooke Nuneviller, I mean, you're talking about one of the all-time greats in this program's history, just an elite kid, an elite player. But a lot of players worth watching on that squad too. So. Excited to see them get going.
And you're not going to find a better season ticket deal anywhere than for Oregon Volleyball. If you get your season tickets, you can be in attendance for the Green-Yellow Scrimmage, an annual event that is just open to season ticket holders this year. You should look into that. Oregon Volleyball, some high expectations, and I think that's where you want your program to be. Another program, I'd like to assess your expectations for Oregon soccer. Graham Abel, the last 2 years, has this program on the rise, and there's a lot of talent as well. First match for Oregon soccer coming tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm really excited to watch them. I mean, Graham Abel has made me a soccer fan because just the direction that program has taken under his leadership has really been something, and they're a salty bunch. They want to get to the tournament, and I think they feel like maybe they've been worthy of consideration. And now there's this attitude that, all right, clearly, we're not going to catch a break there. We have to make an emphatic case ourselves on the field and not leave it up to decision makers and say, okay, we are a tournament program. And I think you've got some seniors that have been around here for a while that have been wanting to make that breakthrough that are really motivated to do that. I mean, Leah Freeman, you've got an elite goalkeeper, which, I mean, probably a heck of a thing to build a team around. But the whole back line, there's a lot of experience on the back line. You lose Chardonnay Cran, a great playmaker, but I think they feel like they've got some other playmakers back. Zoe Hasnauer, who we talked to yesterday. And then, again, talking about that kind of salty demeanor, I think they felt like offensively they did a good job creating chances last year. They did not finish enough. That they just need to finish better, and so they spent a lot of time working on various technical aspects of the game to put themselves in position better and to better take advantage of those situations to create a little bit more offense. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. They've got a tough schedule, tough non-conference schedule, and obviously the conference is a real gauntlet. But I'm excited to watch them. The methodical improvement and progress they're making under Coach Abel is readily apparent, and so. Counting on another step this year, could be a really satisfied group, hopefully by the end.
A program that really knocked on the door of the tournament in a lot of ways last year. Yeah. You convert a couple more of those chances, like you mentioned, those draws turn to win. Well, they're going to bust that door down and get in.
And and I think that's a great way to put it. They know that if they just start knocking on the door saying, "Hey, can we come in?" That wasn't answered last year, so it's, hey, just kick the door down, bust on through, do your best Kool-Aid Man impression.
He's Rob Mosley. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Good luck with the transition to that bucket hat this afternoon.
Thank you.
All right, we'll get a break. We'll come back with Dana Altman's presser from yesterday on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the drug facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the drug facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drug facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Well, we ran out of time yesterday and couldn't get to the entirety of Dana Altman's media availability, so we'll hit the rest of it here today. It was great to hear from Rob Moseley about Oregon football. Dan Lanning here at the top of the hour as well. So we'll hit Altman and we'll try and get to a football player to close us out. Let's get, though, to the head coach of the Ducks.
What did you see out of Quincy getting those minutes for Team Canada this offseason?
Well, you know, the big thing, Quincy's healthy. You know, last summer, again, he didn't do anything until first 3 or 4 weeks of practice, he didn't do much last year in October, nursing his knees. And he's bouncing around really good now. So that's been really encouraging. And so, you know, he's gifted. You know, he's got to get on those boards. He's got to keep shooting the three. I like it when he drives it. You know, he's got to get a little bit more comfortable doing that. Perimeter defense, you know, if we're going to play him a little bit more as a small forward more than a power forward, you know, with the size we got, it gives us some versatility. So, you know, trying to play him more at a small forward, you know, wing position rather than a or power forward spot, you know, got to get a little bit more comfortable guarding on the perimeter. But, you know, I do like his attitude. He's really easy to work with, you know, and he wants to have a great year. He's really trying to get prepared, and Team Canada was part of that. You know, he spent a month with them trying to, you know, just work on things, and, you know, he's really worked hard since he's been back.
How much of the value is, I know the games are always going to be important, but just the practice time you get leading up to 6 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever it is, when the guys come back for start of camp. But how important has this practice been?
You know, all I can say is for the amount of money that we spend on this trip, I wish we could do it every year, every other year. I think it's great for the guys. You know, we only get 10 practices. Not like we're killing them, you know, but you get 10 practices, you get together. Guys are excited about it, you know, and especially our 3 Canadians, you know, they're really excited about going back. So, you know, I've always loved the foreign trips. You know, we went to Spain, been to Italy since I've been here. This will be our third trip. But I like the trips. You know, I think they're really good for teams. I think they're really good for growing the game. You know, going to Canada and playing in front of some folks. We're going to have a little reunion with some of our former players, and so, you know, I'm excited. I think the players are. We got just 2 more practices. We practice tomorrow morning and Thursday morning. Today's a day off, and then we take off Friday. And we're not gone very long. We're just gone, 9 days. Friday to next Saturday we get back. So play 5 games in 6 days. You know, we're going there to play. We're not going there to sightsee. We're going there to play games. And so it should be a good trip.
The Canadians in particular, Dana, is there, because I realize that, again, NIL and legislation, is there something that you hope is in the works by way of some kind of coordination to, because they can't receive funds while they're here?
While they're in the States? No, not on this particular trip. You know, the guys were back in Canada, so they had some opportunities, you know, before they came. They were all on that Canadian team that was preparing, so they were in Canada until July, so they had some opportunities there to work on some things.
Bartholomew and Kuznard, I don't think we've spoken to you since those additions. Just how do they impact this roster, and just your thoughts on their additions?
Well, Keyshawn is really quick. You know, gives us a gear and explosiveness that our team was lacking. He's got to get a little better on the defensive end and on the boards. Even at his size, I think he can help us because he is explosive on the boards. But he is quick. He can get to a spot. He can get his own shot. You know, he's got experience in our league. So, you know, I told him just play as well against everybody as you did against us, you know, and so, but no, he gives us something we don't have. He's got a little pop to his game, a little quicker, and a little quickness, and a little quicker than some of our other guys. So he'll add something. And then Jermaine, you know, and both the experience, you know, for both of those guys. And so, and Jermaine's a little more powerful, you know, 6'4", 6'5", you know, good build on him. So, and again, Frank Martin, really good defensive coach. You know, he's got a relationship with Chuck, you know, so I think he can come in and give us stuff right away. So I think both those guys will help us. We need them to. You know, our perimeter numbers aren't great. So both those guys need to play, as well as Brennan Rigsby, junior college transfer from Northwest Florida, needs to step up and play right away.
Getting Will more shots. Does Keyshawn help?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, Matt. I think he can get into lanes, create. I think Jermaine can do that. So, you know, Will's proven he can shoot 40% from 3. I mean, it's not like, well, we're hoping he can move up to there. He's done it. You know, we got to get him shots. And so, you know, that's and he's done a great job running the show. He knows our system. We've added some things, but he picks things up really quick. His basketball savvy, Will really understands the game. And you know, the thing I want him to do is work on his body. You know, he's got to get bigger. You know, that's what the NBA people want. And I think it'd help him tremendously with us. And he's done a good job. He's worked harder this year in the weight room. So, but I think it's something, you know, I just saw what a difference it made for Brooks and Bell and the guys who have really bought in, you know, Pritchard, Duarte, you know, guys that have bought into that weight room, Tyler Dorsey, you know, man, you know, it makes a tremendous difference, just being the best athlete you can be. And, you know, watching those guys lift, I should get my ass in there. But, you know, it makes a tremendous difference. And So, I just want to see Will. I've been impressed with Dante's gains. When you see him, he looks bigger, better. But I think to be your best, you got to buy into all facets of preparation, and that's a big one.
That's Dana Altman talking with the media. There's a couple more minutes left in that interview. If you want to check out the rest on YouTube, at goducks.com on YouTube. We'll get a break, come back with Mace Funa. Great player on the Oregon defense. Talking with the media after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Now's the time to visit your local Toyota dealer and find yourself in a stylish and fuel-saving RAV4, Corolla, or Camry. Or climb behind the wheel of the rugged Tundra, Tacoma, and more. Toyota's national sales event is on. Toyota, let's go places.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Now's the time to visit your local Toyota dealer and find yourself in a stylish and fuel-saving RAV4, Corolla, or Camry. Or climb behind the wheel of the rugged Tundra, Tacoma, and more. Toyota's national sales event is on. Toyota, let's go places.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Unused prescription opioid pain medicines can spell trouble. They can spell risk if taken by someone they weren't prescribed for, harm if accidentally taken by a child or pet, or overdose if they're not used as directed. Safely dispose of opioids before they can hurt your family. Find a drug take-back option such as medicine drop boxes. You may find these in your community at local pharmacies or police stations. Visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience a bad reaction. Don't put your health at risk. To learn how to find an online pharmacy that's safe and legal, visit fda.gov/BeSafeRx. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Back here on Duck Insider in the Country Financial Studio, brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. Mace Funa, Dan Lanning talked about him in his presser today, talked about his pass rushing moves, how he's getting better in that area. Here's Mace Funa talking with the media yesterday.
Your listed weight is the lowest it's ever been since you've been here. Obviously that had a purpose. What was that purpose?
Just my whole main focus this year was just being more twitchy, getting more speed on my game. I noticed a lot over the past few years that I was a little slow. I can move for as big as I was the past few years, but I feel like it'd be a bigger impact on the game and for my teammates as well if I lost that weight.
How much of that was your call, Mace, versus were they trying to tell you that they want a Sam Backer to be under 260, closer to 250? Was that your decision, or was that coaches, or was it both? Or?
Coach Tosh came into our outside linebacker room telling us, the average weight around for the OLBs in the NFL is about 255, 270, and that's what he keeps telling us, reminding us, try to either gain weight or lose weight. And for me, I kind of took that into, I got to really chisel down and get right for this season, especially hopefully trying to get this as my last season.
How are you feeling up with it now, moving around the field?
Oh my God, I feel great. Out there moving like Noah Sewell.
Coach Lanning just spoke on your defensive versatility a little bit. He said he thinks you're the type of guy that can play multiple positions. So where do you think you're going to do the most damage this fall on the field?
It's hard to say right now. Just like he said, versatility. They have me out there playing on the edge as well as, out there on the slot, covering the slot, the tight end. You'll find me deep in the seams, like just wherever coaches want me to go, I'll go play.
Do you enjoy being that type of Swiss Army knife on the
field?
Love it.
I love it. That's what I love playing football, just trying to be on the field, sideline to sideline. That's the type of player I want to be.
You ever think you'd see the day that you actually weighed less than Trevin? I mean that because of where you guys came.
Yeah, definitely. The last few seasons, me and Trev, we've always tried to battle each other, whether we'll be who's going to be the heaviest this week or who'll be the lightest and fastest this week, you know. And then this year, how they moved Trev to D-line and kept me at OLB was kind of funny. We still, when we were sitting over here talking about it, I was telling Trev, I was like, it's kind of funny to see how much bigger he is than I am and how skinny I got compared to last year and the last few years together.
How have you seen him do it? I mean, 55 pounds in 3 years is a lot, man. So, like, from what you've seen, how has he done it?
Trevin's doing an amazing job right now. He's striking blocks like I've never seen him. He's being more physical on the point, getting knocked back, being able to play his gaps right. He's starting to grow into the experienced player, knowing his plays, play-by-play. Even with tempo offense, he's starting to hang in there with us.
What's it been like learning from Tosh and Dan and kind of that transition this offseason in their system?
I love Tosh. Coach Tosh, he brings a different energy to the team every day. I don't think you'll find another coach that has his type of energy, his enthusiasm, his love for the game. He really shows it, and he puts that into us players. Just you got to really love this game if you want to carry this game on for the rest of as long as you want to take it in your career.
Where have you really seen your game improve, kind of learning from them this offseason?
Coverages, for sure. I didn't really know a lot about coverages. I was really a flat player, you know, the last couple of years, just dropped to the flat 5 yards. But now I'm starting to learn, you know, seam coverages, carrying two, being able to play off 2-3 reads, all that. Yeah, pretty much coverage.
So you feel good about the weight, but what's the biggest challenge about playing with a little bit less weight on you now?
Holding the edge, that was one of my main things. Losing the weight was, I knew it would be a struggle trying to hold the edge with as light as I was. Going against Stephen Jones and all them, trying to fight a 350-pound man against a 255-pound man. It's kind of crazy. But that was probably my biggest struggle with all the weight loss.
Is that as difficult as you thought it would be during camp, or are you kind of still able to do that the way that you were last season?
At the beginning of it was. This spring, before spring ball, I really worked my butt off. I got all the way down to 235, 240, and then that's where I noticed the difference, and so I started putting the weight back on 255. So right around here is where I want to be for the season, 255, 260, so I can hold the edge as well as play in space, cover receivers and all that.
What does that process look like? What did you do to cut weight so quickly? I know everybody kind of has their secret.
If you ask my teammates, I probably eat the most McDonald's on this team. I eat McDonald's like on a regular. So, you know, I had to make some sacrifices. I had to stop ordering McDonald's. That was probably the biggest thing. I was put down the McDonald's and really focus on trying to get my speed with Coach Jaws, bringing Coach Jaws and our strength staff, just trying to work harder, run faster, push harder, strain, like Coach Lanning always tells us, strain.
Does it feel better at this point? Or
way better.
Did you go back to McDonald's?
I have my McDonald's here and there, you know. I got a crazy order, but...
What's the order? We gotta hear it.
Okay, so my order, when I was a little heavier, I used to be able to eat 2 McDoubles, 2 McChickens, 20-piece nuggets, large fries, large shake, and large Sprite. There you go. That was my secret. And that was just one meal. So like dinner, that was dinner. So yeah, that's pretty much why I was so big the last few years.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I could put down for it. I'm Tongan. I gotta eat.
So I was trying to keep track of that order. I wonder, going through the drive-thru, if he's saying all those things that quickly. 2 McDoubles, McChicken, Sprite, shake. I think I'm missing 1 or 2. I wish I could look like that with that order. Let's get a break. We'll come back and wrap up. More news and notes after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. With honest conversations that let them know what we expect. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be shared with friends or family. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Coming back here on the Oregon Sports Network, it's Duck Insider in the Country Financial Studio, brought to you as always by On Point Community Credit Union. Productive show today. I mean, Rob Moseley was in here, GoDucks.com, Dan Lanning, Presser, Dana Altman, Mace Funa as well. Tomorrow, it will be game day for the first time in the athletics calendar. Women's soccer at Pape Field, 5 o'clock. Get out there. If you can't go tomorrow, that's fine. Sunday, 2 p.m., bringing San Francisco to town. San Francisco, they played the Ducks last year in the Bay Area. It was a really entertaining match. It went to overtime. The two teams drew that match. Draw. I got to figure that out. Draw, I don't know. But the Ducks were pretty injured in that matchup last year with San Francisco. Hopefully they can get their payback this year and start the season 2-0. The Ducks looking towards the postseason, towards the NCAA tournament this year, absolutely. And then Saturday, the green-yellow scrimmage for Coach Omer's squad. Oregon football will be practicing again today. We'll have interviews there. We have a lot of football interviews that we didn't get to today. Scott, we didn't get to Brandon Dorless, who could be the star of this defense this year. I think Rob Moseley certainly made some arguments that he could be the star of this defense this year. And he's for a defensive lineman to go 19, nearly 20 miles an hour, Scott, man, I would not want to be an offensive tackle in the Pac-12 this year. We'll put it that way. It was a good show today. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Thanks for being here with us. Thanks to you, Scott. And as always, go Ducks.
Meet Ed, movie buff, animal lover, safe driver.
5 years of driving an ambulance teaches you a thing or two. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. When I see a car trying to rush past a turning bus, I get concerned. You see, when big vehicles turn right, they have to swing wide to make the turn. And that's a lesson you don't want to learn the hard way. When trucks and buses turn, let's you and I wait.
It's our roads. It's our safety. Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
I've been driving trucks for a long time. Safety is my #1 priority. I know